Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. God is the only reality. All else that seems real is illusory. God and I are one. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thanks to beloved Baba, Jai Baba to all of you. We are reading God Speaks. I keep repeating this just to please our beloved Master, because he has said that it would please him if all his lovers read God Speaks at least once in their lifetime. We are doing part 8, Evolution of Consciousness, and paragraph number 3 on page number 87. Page 87.
Impressions, as such, play a vital role in the life of man until such time as they are completely wiped away, relieving and freeing consciousness from experiencing the false nothing as everything and real. Consciousness, when relieved of all impressions, will no longer experience the false nothing as real, but it will experience reality as the unlimited self, that is God.
Impressions we know are samskaras. They are the limiting factor for us to realize the I am God state. Otherwise, in the very first human form, when the consciousness is whole and complete, that human being should have realized God, because there is no further expansion, extension, evolution of consciousness. But that is not being done for a simple reason that the consciousness is shrouded, covered, enveloped, cluttered by the presence of impressions. That is what is giving us the limitation, and we cannot experience the I am God state. So here Baba says, impressions as such play a vital role in the life of man. They are very important, because unless we experience bondage, we will not be able to experience freedom. Unless we experience darkness, we won't be able to appreciate and experience light. Unless we experience ignorance, we won't be able to experience knowledge. So impressions play a very important role in the life of a man until such time as they are completely wiped out, relieving and freeing consciousness from experiencing the false nothing as everything and real. In other words, once the impressions are gone, we will know the false as false. And knowing the false as false is equal to knowing the truth. Right now, we are experiencing the false nothing, and we think it is everything. Why we think it is everything? Because of the ignorance. Why the ignorance? Because of the impression. So once the impressions go, the consciousness is freed from all the impressions, and it will be able to experience the reality as everything. So Baba says here, relieving and freeing consciousness from experiencing the false nothing as everything and real. Consciousness, when relieved of all impressions, will no longer experience the false nothing as real. Right now, we are experiencing false nothing as real. So once the impressions are all completely annihilated, dissolved, then it will no longer experience the false nothing as real, but it will experience reality as the unlimited self, that is God.
As long as impressions persist and continue to impress the consciousness of man, these impressions, activated and generated by the energy of man, are being constantly imprinted on the mind of man and being retained or stored in his subconsciousness.
So in other words, as long as impressions persist and continue to impress the consciousness of man, that is the reason why it is also called impression. It is impressing the consciousness of the mind of the man, which in reality is free, but it is impressing and binding it with all sorts of experiences. As long as impressions persist and continue to impress the consciousness of man. These impressions, activated and generated by the energy of man. Energy is the subtle body. Now, subtle body goads, instigates, irritates, you can say, it is goading, it is asking the man to utilize those impressions through actions. As long as the impressions persist and continue to impress the consciousness of man, these impressions, activated and generated by the energy of man, are being constantly imprinted on the mind of man. Where are these impressions imprinted? On the mind of man. They remain dormant. They are not active. Now the energy, which is the subtle body, will goad those impressions to get up, wake up, utilize me, spend me, experience me. And once it is the dormant impressions of the mind now gets activated, and when they are thoroughly activated up to a certain pitch or a level, then they get converted into action. And once they get converted into action, they create more fresh impressions. So that's the vicious circle. Energy of man are being constantly imprinted on the mind of the man and are being retained or stored in his subconsciousness. So they are all being stored. Good.
Some of these impressions remain dormant in the subconsciousness of man for hours or days or years and sometimes for lifetimes.
They remain dormant. They are not being expressed or experienced.
But most of them get projected through the subconsciousness of man every moment of his life while he experiences semi-conscious and fully conscious states, that is, the dream and awake states respectively.
That means some of the impressions, they remain dormant for days, hours, days, months, lifetime. But most of them get, you can say, they get goaded, instigated, and they are utilized in the subconscious state by way of dreams, or in the conscious state by way of so-called awake state, which is the false awake state.
When these impressions remain absolutely dormant, the man in his sound is in his sound sleep state. When these impressions begin to get projected from the subconsciousness of man, they are hazy in their initial stages, but in varied subtle forms. Being in varied subtle forms, molded out of the nothingness, and the man is said to be in a semi-conscious state, experiencing dreams through his subconsciousness. When these hazy impressions grow clearer in their final or ripe stages of projection, the nothingness in subtle forms is experienced as gross forms, and the man is said to be in a fully conscious or awake state, experiencing the gross world through his full consciousness in a completely awake state.
So when the impressions are dormant, the man is supposed to be in sound sleep state. When they have been awoken in the subconsciousness, then the impressions project a very hazy picture of whatever the impressions contain, and we call it, that is the beginning of a dream. As we keep dreaming further and further, this haziness gets little clearer and clearer till in the full awake state, this haziness is no more, and there is a clarity. Like just now there is a clarity. We think we are awake, but actually we are not really awake. We are in the false awake state. But in other words, it is the same impression, either dormant or they are manifest. If they are manifest through the subconsciousness, we call it a dream. If they are manifested in full consciousness, that which is the awake state, we call it an awake state. But they are the same impressions, and it is all, yeah. Go ahead.
How can impressions be dormant for lifetimes? Aren't impressions supposed to be exhausted?
Yes, lifetimes, not eternity. So sometimes, there may be, yeah, it's a good question. Sometimes there could be certain impressions which have, this is my take, which have not really generated that much of power, that much of energy, that much of vigor to come out even in a subconscious state of a dream. So they will lie dormant till there are some actions of similar nature which will again go and queue up with those impressions.
So they are basically very minuscule.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very light.
When the man wakes up, the projections of impressions of nothing manifest the same dream of nothingness more forcefully and realistically. In other words, the same dream is said to be at its height now in the awake state of man.
So in other words, the same set of impressions, the same dream which was hazy in the subconsciousness with what we call as dream, the same impression give the same dream in a more clear picture which we call as the awake state. And somebody had asked a jnani, his name was Nisargadatta Maharaj. He has written a wonderful book called I Am That and many other books. So he was asked, what happens after death? And I think his superb reply was, he said, what happens? Question mark. The dream continues. In other words, what we are dreaming now, same dream is continued now in the awake state, which we call as the awake. Very clear, I can see, I can do everything there with lot of clarity. Same dream. When you die, what happens? The dream continues. The same. In the astral form, yeah. Because the physical body, we did that. The physical body is dropped and we go with the astral body in the semi-subtle world, which is the astral world, to enjoy the intense state, mental state of heaven or hell in the astral body. And when there is time for us to take reincarnation, another body, the astral body is dropped there. And we take a new physical body along with a new astral body and continue our life.
The astral
Am
body
I making sense?
is very similar to what physical body is. But it's hazy. But we go with two bodies. The gross body shed, the subtle and the mental body goes with us perennially. And the astral body keeps changing because now our mode of sanskaras has changed. That's why we're taking another form. So another, yeah.
With every reincarnation, that means with every new physical form, the astral body accompanies. New.
And it,
On the sanskaras.
Sorry?
depending upon the sanskaras.
Depending upon
Yes,
some,
yes.
everything is
Whatever is ready for-
Samskaras are the basis of everything. All our thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, actions. Our nature, basically everything is formed by the thoughts, by the impressions, samskaras.
Therefore, the awake state of man is the experiencing of that same hazy state of dreams, only now they are experienced clearly, being at their height and in their fully ripe and final stages.
Okay.
Ripe and final.
Yeah. Apu.
The dream of a man is but a drama enacted by the projection of man's own dormant impressions. These impressions, when projected through man's subconsciousness, create things and creatures of the dream as subtle forms.
We had done this earlier. See, I read. The dream of a man is but a drama enacted by the projection of man's own dormant impressions. We had done the example, there is a film reel. Whatever is there, that's the samskara, those are the impressions, those are the dormant impressions. They get projected on the screen. You will not get on the screen anything which is not already, film is not shot and the reel is not prepared. So in other words, every experience of ours, is basically our own responsibility. It is the response, it is the projection of our own dormant samskaras which are now coming into play. So how do we blame somebody for this? Getting it?
Man in the dream state not only becomes involved in the drama of his dream and plays the roles of both also gets closely associated with the things and the creatures in their sub-subtle forms, which are of his own creation in his dream state. This creation of sub-subtle forms comes entirely as a result of the manifestation of man's own past and present impressions. Thus, man in his dream state associates subconsciously with forms in subsubtle states.
That means everything that I am dreaming, I'm not talking about this awake dream state, the subconscious dream state. Who is the creator of all the creatures in my dream? I am myself the creator. I am myself creating the creatures in my dream. Not only that, I am also participating in that dream. Not only that, I am suffering or I am enjoying in that, all this is illusion in my dream. I am seeing, my eyes are closed, but I am seeing my dream. My ears are in a sense dead because I am sleeping, but still I can hear voices. My mouth is shut, but I am talking. So I am using my subtle senses subconsciously in order to create that dream. So I am not only the creator, I become also the creature of my own dream. And these dreams are mostly connected with something which is material, something which is worldly, and something which has happened of the past or it is happening in the present. That means there is some connection of my dreams with my past or present. Very rarely we'll come to that. We also have somehow erroneously got connected, in a sense erroneously, with the future. So I may see something in my dream today, which I may experience in my awake state after a couple of days, weeks, months, years also. So that we'll come to that later on. So another thing. That was the question which he had asked. Baba says that this entire creation is a divine dream. Dream of whom? Paramatma, the divine. Now he is actually not only the creator, but he becomes the creature also of his dream. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Now, because erroneously I have associated myself as separate and other from the other creatures, that is why this question arose. If he is dreaming, then why is it that we are being punished with all these samskaras and all that? But in the reality of things, in the absolute reality, I don't exist. It is only him who is playing all the roles. For example, if I am dreaming and in my dream something is happening, some marpit is happening, some, whatever is happening, some fighting is happening, the people in my dream will say, Baba, you are dreaming. Why am I being beaten up? But it's all a dream. Only when you wake up, you realize, nothing has happened. So that's why Baba says that I tell you, Baba says, don't worry, be happy. I tell you, everyone has got a beautiful ending and they lived happily ever after, like a fairy tale. I am telling you that all this is just a dream. Only when you really awaken to the Aham Brahmasmi state, I am God state, then you will realize that what I am saying was the fact that all this that you went through, the ups and downs in life and everything that you have experienced was a big zero, nothing. It never happened, it never existed. But since we are in the dream, we are not able to appreciate Baba's words. Because as we said, a dream becomes a dream only when you wake up. As long as I am dreaming, I don't think it's a dream. I feel actually it is happening. Only when I wake up, I say, oh my God, all this was just a dream. So in the same way, Baba says all this is just a dream. It is a product of nothing. And all this that has come out of nothing is the nothingness of that nothing. So don't take anything seriously. Like Baba says, why people suffer? Because they take life seriously and God lightly, instead of taking God seriously and life lightly. So we keep on worrying. Baba says, yes, you can plan, but do not worry. You have to plan, there's no doubt about it. But don't worry about it, because worry is not going to help in any which way. Anyway, I would be digressing, so let's come back to the reading.
When recollected by a man in the awake state, these very forms which he has seen and associated with in the dream state remind him of his conscious associations with the gross forms as things, creatures, and beings associated in his day-to-day life of the present, and link them with his connections and contacts established in his life of the immediate and sometimes distant past.
In other words, whatever we dream as normal human beings has something to do, some connection. We may remember, we may not remember, and most of the time the dreams are all disjointed, let's say. It's jumping from one subject to another subject and all that. But Baba says it has to do something with your connection, because it originates from your impressions. My dreams are originating from my impressions. My dreams don't originate from her impression. Supposing in my dream, I feel that, oh, I am in deep love with her. That it doesn't mean that she is also feeling the same way, because that was my dream, it was my impression, you see. And in other words, what I'm trying to convey is, whatever I am dreaming, the basis of my dream is my impressions. And the basis of my impressions is my past connection with those people. Because I interacted with those people and I acted in some way, or they acted with me in some way, that is what has impressed my consciousness with impressions or samskaras. So for my dream, the platform is my samskaras, and for my samskaras, the platform is my past associations and connections and actions with those people and things. Whether I remember it or not, there is some connection, some connectivity. Otherwise, I would not dream those dreams. Making clear? All right.
More often than not, a man also recollects in his conscious awake state that a particular gross form, whether of a thing, creature, or being, with which he closely associates and which he actually seeks, reminds him of having witnessed that same object in his dream at some time in the past, either some days, months, or years ago.
Sometimes we call this premonition, let's say, that I am now associated with some place, something, some beings, of which I had dreamt many, many days or weeks or months earlier. So Baba, it might be a little difficult to understand. As I said, certain areas we just have to say pass or go ahead, because when we talk about consciousness, it is not fitted in this body. When I talk about mind, the mind is universal. So when Baba talks about such things, he doesn't break up time into past, present and future, which we do. For the truth, there is only one reality, there is only one time, and that is the eternal now, which comprises of all of the past and all of the future. You see, so when Baba explains, it may be difficult for us to understand as to how I can have associations with somebody whom I have never met, and yet I get associated with him, and yet after a certain time I realized that I had dreamt about this person earlier. Am I making sense? Thank you.
Thus, it actually happens that a form of the future which he happened to witness in his dream of the past reappears to the man as a gross form in his life associations of the present.
I'll repeat this so we understand. Thus, it actually happens that a form of the future which he happened to witness in his dream of the past reappears to the man as a gross form in his life associations of the present. Go ahead. Exactly what I said.
After a lapse of time, the same object that the man was totally ignorant of ever having seen or contacted before in his lifetime appears to him now in the awake state exactly as he had witnessed it before in his dream state. Experiences of a similar nature are also recorded in which a man witnesses certain incidents in his dreams years in advance of their actual occurrence. How is it possible for a man to witness in advance in the drama of his dream such forms and incidents of futurity when this drama of the dream is only the outcome of his past and present everyday life impressions?
Now Baba is asking a question, very pertinent question which we just now did. How is it possible for a man to witness in advance in the drama of his dream such forms and incidents of futurity, future, when this drama of the dream is only the outcome of his past and present everyday life impressions? When we say that dream is nothing but something which has happened in the past, how is it that he is able to see something of the future?
It is really possible in the dream of the present. Is it really possible in the dream of the present for one to come across and witness a certain object which is totally of the future and to establish future associations with it in advance, yet all the while remain ignorant of the object until it is eventually contacted and consciously associated with in an awake state one day in the distant future?
I'll repeat this because it is a little complex. Now Baba is again asking another question. Is it really possible in the dream of the present for one to come across and witness a certain object which is totally of the future and to establish future associations with it in advance, yet all the while remain ignorant of the object until it is eventually contacted and consciously associated with in an awake state one day in the distant future? Is it possible? That's what Baba is asking.
Even if such a thing be really possible, and if the future is being inadvertently probed by man in his dream, then from where does futurity spring into man's present? How could man living in the present through his own impressions of the past ever come to grips with futurity even in a dream state and associate in advance with impressions of future incidents and objects? What is it that endows man with the faculty of prescience? These very associations with
So this is the answer. These very associations
with future objects and incidents, though experienced inadvertently and unknowingly by man in the present, are automatically developed and are inevitably there by virtue of man's being the creator of the drama in his dream state.
Let us read the whole thing, then we'll read and try to understand.
No sooner does man become the creator of the drama of his dream state through the projection of his dormant impressions then this very projection of his own dormant impressions reflects his past as if it were really his present, and man, finding himself involved in this drama, gets absorbed in his past while still maintaining his past to be his present. In this manner, although all the time remaining in the present, the man inadvertently and unknowingly continues to preserve his past, maintaining it to be his present. But when man continues to preserve his past, he, being at the same time the creator, also concurrently becomes the preserver of his own creation through his spontaneous associations with the objects in the drama of his dream state. These very associations, though inadvertently established, maintain the continuity of the drama and endow the creator with the role of the preserver as well. In every wee bit action of preservation of all that which has passed, man in his present, as the preserver of his past, inadvertently and unknowingly, also simultaneously establishes the future in his very present by the very act of preserving his past as his present, which present he had remained always as the future of the past. Take, for example, a man who finds himself living in the present of today and who looks upon yesterday as all of his past and tomorrow as all of his future. Now, as soon as this man asserts that he is living in the present of today, he inadvertently and unknowingly has preserved that past of yesterday not only as the present of today but also as the future of tomorrow, just by maintaining himself as alive today in the present. In every wee bit act of preserving that in every wee bit act of preserving that past of yesterday while maintaining himself as living in the present of today, that man also inadvertently and unknowingly establishes in his present of today this today as the future of yesterday. So, it is that although the past and the future have their own stand, yet both of these are consistently and concurrently preserved only in the present. It is only because of the present that both the past and the future find their point of fusion everlastingly in the present.
So let's try to understand. It's a little difficult to understand, but let's see. Okay, what I understand is that in a nutshell, all the experiences which we have in the dream is of the past. That past I am again rotating in my memory as the present. I am experiencing the dream in the present, isn't it? Whatever has already happened in the past. So in other words, my present now is not the actual present. My present now is a recollection of what has happened in the past. So in other words, I have preserved the past as the present.
Okay, so this past, that one is
So here Baba is using the word unknowingly and inadvertently. He is a creator also of the future. So he himself creates that future, and when that future becomes the present, he is able to experience that, and he wonders how he is himself the creator, and there is no such thing as past, present and future. So now let us read again a little more deeply.
She's got a question.
No, I don't understand. What can I explain?
She said something.
that in the past, that person is thinking about the past. In dream or is it?
In dream, we are talking dream. We are talking about the dream only.
Both dream and the present. Even now, in the false awake state also, as well as in the dream. So Baba is talking both.
No, but here we are talking
concurrently.
only, we are focusing on the dream part. On the dream only.
Sleeping dream part or where?
Sleeping dream. sleeping dream part. Sleeping dream part.
But here it
In
also.
elsewhere, of course, I shouldn't be saying. Sorry,
It's
darling.
also talking to person.
He's talking about the. No, he's not talking to the awake state at all.
You know why we are asking this is because no.
The people on the
Both
record
no.
can.
Okay, so the reason why we are asking this question is because when you're sleeping, sanskaras are getting worked out as well, right?
Yeah.
So when sanskaras are getting all worked out, you are not in any control of what dreams you're having. So whatever dreams you're having are coming from the
Past.
past.
But I am
Is that
experiencing
sanskaras?
them as the present.
But you're experiencing them in your sleeping dream present.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is in
Wait, hold
this.
Swami, 8 seconds. let
Wait,
her-
hold it. When you're dreaming in the dream state, it's only one way. You're not adding. You're only.
That is not the
Finishing.
question.
Correct,
That is-
correct.
that is not the
That
question.
I got. Okay. Now, in the present dream state, when you're awake dream state, in that awake dream state, whatever is happening is also coming from your past sanskaras. So, isn't in the dream state some part of your sanskaras getting worked out, so you don't have to experience it in your
Absolutely,
present awake state?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, if you keep
Absolutely.
sleeping day in and day out
That's what I do.
and dreaming,
And keep dreaming.
Doesn't
So
it work out?
Much of your samskaras get
But that.
eradicated.
But your
My
consciousness
question
does not allow it to happen.
Okay.
My question was a little different because you had mentioned that Baba said that the dream becomes a dream only when you wake up. So this itself is a dream. So if even I'm thinking about my past, that so and so person said this, it's happened in the past, and even if I'm talking about it, does this not apply there as well?
It does.
So it's not just the dream, right?
It-
But
even
What
false
Baba is
sleeping dream.
explaining here is about the dream only, not in the false awake state, which is what we are taught. So here, let us read again. Try to understand. I am not claiming to have understood. So let's try to understand.
Where are you reading from?
Sorry,
Where are we reading from?
Uh,
We're reading from page
okay.
90.
page 89. Okay. These very associations with
Last-
future object. Last line. Last two.
Penultimate line.
These very associations with future objects and incidents, though experienced inadvertently and unknowingly. So here these are very beautiful words. Inadvertently. So inadvertent. By mistake. Inadvertently and unknowingly by man in the present are automatically developed and inevitably there by virtue of man's being the creator of the drama in his dream state. In other words, it is an inadvertence, unknowingly, he has created certain creatures in the drama of his own dream. Up to here, okay. No sooner does man become the creator of the drama of his dream state. We are talking only dream state, remember that. Through the projection of his dormant impressions, then this very projection of his own dormant impressions reflects his past, obviously, as if it were really his present. Because when I am dreaming, I don't think it is present. And man, finding himself involved in his drama, because he is not just dreaming, he is also involving himself. Involved in his drama, gets absorbed in his past while still maintaining his past to be his present. Up to here, okay. In this manner, although all the time remaining in the present, the man, again inadvertently and unknowingly, continues to preserve his past, maintaining it to be his present. But when man continues to preserve his past, he, being at the same time the creator, also concurrently becomes the preserver of his own creation through his spontaneous associations with the objects in the drama of his dream state. These very associations, though inadvertently established, maintain the continuity of the drama and endow the creator with the role of the preserver as well. How do you understand this?
Baba is just trying to make a point that you yourself are are the creator,
Correct.
sustainer,
That is
Preserver
there.
and-
That
No.
Baba is explained elsewhere in a
But
different way,
all
but
of
we'll
this
come
is
to that.
by mistake and concurrently, sat, spontaneously.
In every
Unknowingly.
wee bit act of preservation of all of that which has passed, man in his present, as the preserver of his past, inadvertently and unknowingly, also simultaneously establishes the future. This is how he establishes the future
In his present.
in his very present, by the very act of preserving his past as his present, which present had remained always as the future of the past. This present has remained always the future of the past.
है ना, बराबर है ना?
This present
क्योंकि वो सोच ही रहा
has
है ना.
remained always the future of the past. So, in the present, inadvertently, concurrently, he is creating something of the future. Just as how this present has always remained the future of the past, in the same way, this what we call as when that future comes, I have already created that present has this present as the from this standpoint of the present that becomes the future, from that standpoint of the future as present this becomes the past.
Okay, a question. Now, all this is happening when you're sleeping.
Right.
Okay, now let's say a person inherently, personality wise, is got a very negative frame of mind. So all his dreams are pretty negative and fear based. This person decides to become positive and does certain things, okay, like maybe turning to Baba and starts having positive dreams. So can we say that the man has some control over how he wants to change his destiny with regards to this?
Of course.
But he can do that in his false awake state. He cannot make changes in his dream state. See, basically, there is nothing eternal, like wrong. No, there comes a time, where you take a U-turn because we progress further based on the experiences of the opposites. So even though a person may be totally depraved, a very great sinner, a time comes in his life when it switches and he becomes a virtuous person. So it is always like a pendulum, it just keeps on going. But that change, as what you are talking, in my limited understanding, has to come in this false awake state. In the dream state, he may not be able to make any changes in the already
Correct, because the
consolidated.
dream state is not in his control, but
Correct.
the false awake state is where he's making the changes which reflects in his dream state.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He can make change. Ultimately, you see, it's all again a drama. We may take so many, we make so many resolutions, like New Year resolution, this resolution, that. But ultimately, it is, there are many components to that change. And one of the aspects is our effort, our seriousness, our awareness, and Baba's grace. So, in whatever we intend to do, if we are inviting his participation and his grace to help us to make this modification in our life, then by and large, he helps.
He always
Yeah,
helps.
go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if this is a stupid question,
It
but
is.
but for example, sometimes even food plays a role of how
What?
your food,
It does?
the food you've consumed plays a role of what kind of dreams you have in the night.
Yes.
So again, now that depends on the food you've consumed. So again, it's in your control where if you change your food habits of your sleep patterns,
Yes.
then again there is a shift in. So that means that every step we are deciding the future of how we are shaping up.
Correct. Absolutely.
But
After all, food is what? It's something alive. And we are making it a part of our being. And it contributes to our, not only just the physical body, but even the mental aspect, which is the samskaras and all that.
But
So yes,
food is different for different people. Like that, the same saying, one man's food is another man's
Correct,
poison.
correct.
So your body will always give you its intelligence and make you feel that this is good for you and this is not. If you honor your body's intelligence, good for you. That way.
There are so many contributory factors, basically. Thoughts, very
Oh
important.
yeah.
How you think, what you think, your faith in Baba, your own effort has a lot of role to play. But again, effort in itself may not be able to get through to where you are going. It's a combination of our effort and His grace that makes it possible. And His grace is always flowing. He always says, that the divine will adjusts itself to the human will. You see.
Can you
So
imagine?
even, the divine will adjust itself.
To
So
the
in
human
that sense, the divine will adjust. And that is the reason why people who are supposedly, they are thief, they are whatever, they feel that God is participating with them to do all these so-called bad things. Because He only says, tathastu, tathastu, tathastu. So be it, So we are the ones who have to make the choices. But again, at the level of the truth, ultimately there is no we, there is no I, it's only Him. So it's too much of a jamela to understand, Anyway, take for example a man who finds himself
Page
living,
90, huh?
for example a man who finds himself living in the present of today and who looks upon yesterday as all of his past and tomorrow as all of his future. Now this is the false awake state we are talking, or not dream. Now, as soon as this man asserts that he is living in the present of today, he inadvertently and unknowingly has preserved that past of yesterday not only as the present of today but also as the future of tomorrow, just by maintaining himself as alive today in the present. This is fairly understandable. So basically, as I understand, in truth or in reality, there is no past, present, future. The soul is omnipresent. The soul is not just in the soul is omnipresent. It is the spirit may be in the body, but soul is omnipresent. And somewhere I had written, which to me at that time made a little sense, that when soul is omnipresent, it exercises the liberty of peeping into, inadvertently again, peeping into the future and getting some information of the future into the present. And that is why you experience something, now in the dream state, which actually will happen or manifest in the future. Am I again making sense? So that was one thought which I don't know where I read it.
Premonition.
So
You
because
get
soul is
premonition.
everywhere, for the soul there is no past, present, future. It is omnipresent. So it has the liberty to sway. Again, it's all illusion. Past is an illusion, present, future is also an illusion. So it is able to go into the so-called apparent future, get some information, and coming back into the present, experiences that, and then when that future becomes the present, you say, oh, I already experienced this. So that could be one of the, so here at least this is understandable. In every wee bit or act of preserving that past of yesterday, while maintaining himself as living in the present of today, that man also inadvertently and unknowingly establishes his present of today, this today as the future of yesterday. This present was the future of yesterday, correct?
है ना?
Frankly, I am not very clear.
It is clear.
This is basically what you would say, that whatever we are experiencing, it's basically the seeds that we sow in the past. So that dream state where in the present that person is thinking of the past, it is basically he's sowing seeds of his future.
Yes.
In a
yes.
sense,
Yes.
Will Baba say don't give any importance to the dreams because all dreams are an illusion inside an illusion?
Absolutely.
But then
Yes.
he's given such a lot of explanation about what really is happening in that illusion, which is inside the illusion.
See why dreams are
He's being very
essential.
scientific in
Two
this.
things. One, why dreams are
He's being talked
essential.
very casually.
To appease the intellect.
Convulsions.
Dreams are the pathway between the false awake state which we are in now and the sound sleep state which is the Paratpar Parbrahma state. And every day we go to the sound sleep state, we are one with God in the Paratpar Parbrahma state, the beyond state of God. Actually we are one with God. So that is the pathway from the false awake state to the Paratpar Parbrahma state, sound sleep state, and again coming back through the same pathway. So that is one importance of dream. The second importance of dream is in the dream state we exhaust our impressions. What we are unable to do in the physical form here, something I am afraid to do, I am shy to do, I may do it in the dream and get done with, it's over with. You see, so it's a kind of a safety fuse, like how the cooker, the whistling. So it just goes away and it's over with. This is my understanding. So that way, dreams are essential, and ultimately we are the creators of our own dream based on what has already happened in the past.
Sorry,
No, please.
what about people who are insomnia?
Insomnia.
I have somya. Not insomnia. No, insomnia doesn't mean that they may not be going into sound sleep state at all. They may be, yeah. Because I think nobody can stay without going into the sound sleep state for at least a certain period of time. I think I read somewhere when Baba was asked as to how much time should we be sleeping, which is good for health and all that. And I'm sure he must be meaning the sound sleep state. He said about 2 to 3 hours is more than enough for a man's sleep, to sleep. The doctors may say 8 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours, whatever that may be. So what Baba must be meaning is this sound sleep state and not the dream state and all that. So coming back to the reading, so it is that although the past and the future have their own stand, yet both of these are consistently and concurrently preserved only in the present. That is understandable. It is only because of the present that both the past and the future find their point of fusion everlastingly in the present.
In the
Yeah, go ahead.
In the eternity of existence, there is no time. There is no past and no future, only the everlasting present. Therefore, in eternity, nothing has ever happened and nothing will ever happen. Everything is happening in the unending now, if there is anything happening at all, because all that has apparently happened, all that is apparently happening, and all that will ever apparently happen in the illusory cosmic universe is all that which God has already dreamt the moment his own original infinite whim surged as who am I? So, really speaking, nothing has happened and nothing will ever happen. Now there's an asterisk. The gross, subtle and mental spheres exist only in imagination, and so time and space exist only in imagination. Time therefore has no absolute value, and in each of the three spheres it has purely relative values that are quite independent of each other. Thus, time on the gross sphere is independent of time on the subtle and mental spheres. Time on the subtle sphere is independent of time on the gross and mental spheres, and time on the mental sphere is independent of time on the gross and subtle spheres. A dream is nothing more than an experience of gross things by means of the subtle organs, and we have all been told how a long and intricate dream may take place in an impossibly brief moment in that imaginary time which is measured by the movements of the hands of a wristwatch.
So basically, I don't think we need to read this again, but I need to confess that I am myself not very clear about. I'll try to think it over, and maybe Soumya will tell me how to
What?
about what we just read about future. All I can understand is simply that since you are the preserver, you are the creator and the preserver, you are also creating the future. And therefore, this created future comes to you as a present, as and when it comes in the future. That part is okay. But still, I am not very crystal clear. If at all I do get some clarity, more clarity, I will talk about it in some future sessions. All right. So this is okay. In eternity there is no time. It's only present. That all that we have seen. Anything to be? Anybody has any question on this? No. Right. Go ahead.
When man in his dream state associates with
Go ahead.
past,
There's a lot of echoing. No.
past, present, and even future forms, he simply invents the roles of creating
He
association.
simply invents the role of creating associations. Yeah.
Then preserving no, it's not that association and eventually destroying that association while all the time maintaining that he is the witness to all these in the present of his dream state. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present an inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved.
All right. Let me. Soumya is looking at me, so he expects me to read it. Okay. Sorry. When man in his dream state associates with past, present, and even future forms, he simply invents the role of creating association, then preserving that association, and eventually destroying that association, while all the time maintaining that he is the witness of all these in the present of his dream state. So in the dream state, he is creating, he is preserving, he is destroying. That he may be creating something which has already happened in the past, or he may be creating something of the future. But the fact of the matter is that whatever is created has to be destroyed. And between the process or the time of creation and the dissolution or destruction, what a person does is he is preserving. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present an inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved. That means in the present, whatever, I'll repeat this. On these very basis of the creation and preservation of all things, creatures and beings created and preserved, whether in the dream state or in the awake state, there hinges at every step in the present, inevitable destruction as the future of all things created and preserved. That means anything that is created will have an eventual dissolution or destruction. Right.
Anything that has its beginning must have its inevitable end, and all things created must inevitably be destroyed, however much such things be preserved, anticipating futurity, advertently or inadvertently as destruction.
That means advertently or inadvertently, whatever that is created, howsoever great, good, whatever it may be, and you try to preserve it as much as you want to preserve, ultimately it will be destroyed, it will be dissolved, it will be destructed, because all things created have an inevitable destruction as its future.
In the very act of preservation, man in the present automatically becomes the preserver of all things that he created in the past. Man becomes the preserver, being in the know of the future that consistently confronts him in the garb of unfailing destruction that awaits its inevitable turn as futurity. Of course, man himself is really not aware that he knows the future, but the very fact that he is the preserver shows that he must be anticipating the destruction. And as destruction belongs to the domain of futurity, the man, though not aware that he knows the future, is knowing it all the time that he is engaged in playing the role of the preserver in the present.
That means the very fact that something which is created is preserved. Why do I preserve something? To stop it from destroying, to stop it from. So inadvertently, unknowingly, at the back of my mind, why am I preserving? Because I know that it will be destroyed at one point in time. So this creation, preservation and destruction is a vicious circle. We call it Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, or whatever, emanator, sustainer and dissolver. This happens all the time. Everything that is created has to be destroyed.
Baba said even for the breath, in the breath also we are creating,
Everything, for
preserving,
everything.
destroying, inhaling. In the very act of becoming the creator, preservation of all things created follows, and the creator perforce simultaneously has to play the role of the preserver.
In the very act of becoming the creator, preservation of all things created follows, and the creator perforce simultaneously has to play the role of the preserver.
Concurrently, in the very act of becoming the preserver, destruction of all things preserved is anticipated.
Because I know it is going to, so it is anticipated that sometime down the line it will be destroyed.
Therefore, all things are advertently or inadvertently preserved, and the preserver therefore establishes in the present the future of all things created and preserved, anticipating the inevitable destruction. God, in his original, infinite, divine dream state, eternally plays the three roles of the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer simultaneously. When God is in the process of preserving his own infinite creation, he is already at the same time in the future, and having preserved what he created, which has passed, the future is definitely established before him, even in his eternal present, which future will destroy what he created in the past and what he preserved in the present.
I'll just read this paragraph again, so that will,
Clear?
very simple, but it's nice. When God is in the process of preserving his own infinite creation, he is already at the same time in the future, and having preserved what he created, which has passed. What he created, now it is in the past, which has passed. The future is definitely established before him, even in his eternal present, which future will destroy what he created in the past and what he preserved in the present. So he is playing all the three roles simultaneously. He is creating, he is preserving. As he is preserving, he knows that whatever he has created in the past is going to be destroyed in the future.
Therefore, God, being omniscient and eternally of the present, knows of the past, which he eternally preserves as the present, and also at the same time, he constantly experiences in advance, in his eternal present, all that which is of the future.
Because he is omniscient, so he knows everything. I don't think it requires any explanation.
Similarly, God in the man state as man inadvertently witnesses all the time in his dream state that which is also to be experienced in the future of his awake state. Man thus finds that he sometimes has prescience of things that come to pass after a lapse of time.
So that in a sense, this makes a little sense linking how God is simultaneously the creator, the preserver and the destroyer. So this paragraph, Soumya, can you read it again?
Similarly,
God in the man state as man. Go ahead.
inadvertently witnesses all the time in his dream state that which is also to be experienced in the future of his awake state. Man thus finds that he sometimes has prescience of things that come to pass after a lapse of
Prescience is for foreknowledge, knowing beforehand of
Purva
something which is, sorry? Purva Gyan, of something which is to happen in the future.
To sum up, in the very act of creation, the acts of preservation and destruction are also present. So, by creating illusion, God, as it were, simultaneously preserves and destroys it. In reality, therefore, nothing is created that remains to be preserved and destroyed because the created creation is of the nothing, and this nothing in reality means absolutely nothing in all respects.
So even this issue of creating, preserving is all an illusion. Everything is happening in illusion.
Though this nothing is indeed nothing at all, yet when it is said that the nothing is created by Brahma, preserved by Vishnu, and destroyed by Mahesh or Shiva, it is spoken of only in terms of the infinite illusion, that is, in terms of the infinite divine dream state of God related to the illusory universe, the Brahmand. There's an asterisk. Of the three aspects, creator, sustainer, and dissolver, sustainer is the most important because the present, which sustains the past and the future, is most important. Therefore, Parvardigar, Vishnu, the sustainer, is the most important aspect of God.
These are all aspects of God. When we do the 10 states, we'll come to that state 3 of God, where he's simultaneously the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Mahesh. So, but Baba says here that everything is nothing, everything is God, it's all in illusion, but even in illusion, between the three, the Brahma, the Vishnu, and Mahesh, Vishnu's role, Parvatiga's role, Sustainer's role is more important because he is always maintained in the present. And this present is hinged or linked to the past and the future.
In the eternity of reality, there is absolutely no such thing as creation, preservation, or destruction. Neither is there space, nor is there any scope for relativity, much less could there ever be the correlated factors of time, such as the past, present, and future.
So, in the eternity of truth, in the eyes of the reality, all this is all illusion, it doesn't exist at all.
In the eternity of reality, the one infinite, eternal, all pervading existence is. In short, when the consciousness of a man makes him experience the impressions of the nothing subconsciously, the man is said to be dreaming a dream. When the consciousness of the man causes him to experience more realistically the impressions of the same nothing full consciously, the man is said to be dreaming yet another dream into the dream, or he is said to be dreaming into those dream, awakened dream, experiencing the nothing into nothing. Sorry. Hence, it is said most appropriately that the world and its affairs are nothing into nothing, dream into dream. This means that God in the man state experiences the life of man as a vacant dream into the divine dream, which means creation. Or, in other words, the life of man is yet but another dream of God in the dreaming of his divine dream or the creation.
So, in the ultimate analysis, it is God dreaming everything. See, this means that God in the man state, all of us are God in the man state, that God in the man state experiences the life of man as a vacant dream into the divine dream, which is creation. The divine dream is a creation, and we are experiencing this vacant dream. Or, in other words, the life of man is yet but another dream of God in the dreaming of his divine dream or the creation.
So would this mean that everything from stone to fish
Everything,
to vegetables,
everything, right from creation.
everything is, we all are part of God's dream,
Correct.
God's divine
Correct.
dream.
Yeah.
So if we wish to merge with Him, is again He has prompted that in us.
Absolutely.
And if that happens, is again a part of His dream.
In other words, it is God who is experiencing himself bound as stone, metal, mineral, vegetable, fish, bird, human beings. It is he who is becoming the creature. The creator becomes the creation and the creature in order to experience himself as the creator at the fag end of the story.
Because of the who am I? Who am I? So he's stone, this, that, falana, tikna, human being, this, that.
But since we are in that dream, we are not able to appreciate that, oh, this is just a dream. And Baba has to come time and time again in his own dream and state, this is all a dream. Don't worry about it. हाँ जी बोलिए. माइक लीजिए प्लीज. नहीं हमको तो आवाज आएगा. But there are people ऑनलाइन तो अभी नहीं है, बट रिकॉर्डेड वर्जन.
जय बाबा
जी जय बाबा.
अगर यहाँ पर ड्रीम कर रहे हैं और नथिंग एग्जिस्ट इन द बियॉन्ड गॉड स्टेट, तो इनको क्यों जरूरत पड़ता है कि फिर वापस आने के लिए?
जब भी आप पहुंचेंगे तभी पूछना.
700 to 1400 years every time he is coming. तो अगर नथिंग है तो इनकारनेशंस कैसे? फिर गॉड आ रहे हैं किस लिए? कैसे अवतार लेने की जरूरत क्या है?
I got your point. Many people are asking the same question. I have no answer to it, but the answer that I normally give is, it is not God who has asked this question, who am I? Because you are nothing but God. So you are also equally responsible for the creation. If you look at it that way, number one way of looking at it. The main thing is, God is in the beyond state. आप तो थे उस समय. State 1, beyond the beyond state of God. God is and consciousness is not. यानी आप जो साउंड स्लीप स्टेट में जाते हो, वो अवस्था, गहरी नींद की अवस्था, जब आप है बट आप है, उसकी चेतना नहीं है. यू गॉट? तो उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है. सो गॉड वांटेड टू नो हु एम आई, एंड दैट हु एम आई के आंसर के लिए God had to go through all the apparently illusory forms of stone, metal, etc. And finally, when he realizes I am God, he realizes, which means you will realize, I will realize, that nothing has ever happened, nothing is ever going to happen, that you always were, are, and ever will remain God. But this entire illusory journey was necessary to wake ourselves up from the sound sleep state and to know the answer, I am God. But since we are still, अभी ये पिक्चर में हम लोग है, वो पिक्चर आया था ना 20 साल बाद करके, पता नहीं आपने देखा कि नहीं, वो लास्ट से शुरू होता है पिक्चर, and then finally we get to know what is the story behind it. So today we are all jumbled up. As you rightly say, why should he do all this thing? He did for our own happiness, for his own happiness. So that Baba says the happiness of God realization is unalloyed, it is eternal, you will enjoy that state. But in order to enjoy that state, we have to go through this bondage of suffering.
So उनका incarnation as avatar is also his dream.
Sorry?
उनका जो अवतारिक फॉर्म लेने का जैसे
Of course
राम
it is a dream. Yes.
it's also a dream.
Yes, yes, yes.
He is coming as avatar to sow the seeds of love in our hearts is also his dream.
It is also a dream.
He said that.
Yeah.
Final declaration. He says, I am illusion.
Yeah. Once apna
He comes back, but he also he enjoys what he has created.
once Krishna Nair, have you heard his name? He was Baba's disciple.
Sir.
Krishna Nair, Baba asked him, who am I or what is it? You're Mayor Baba. You know, I don't know the exact episode, but what Baba said that what you see me is not the real God. It is only a shadow of the God that reincarnates. Shadow is there. I never reincarnate. It's only my shadow that keeps coming. You see. Similarly, you may say you are a soul. I am a soul. Baba says soul is omnipresent. Soul is everywhere. It is the spirit that keeps reincarnating. Now we have to go into the detail of what is spirit, what is soul, and what is the mind. It is the spirit which associates with the mind and assumes a human form. Soul is never untouched. Soul is unscathed. Nothing ever happens to the soul. All the ups and downs, all the happenings, all the suffering, all the joy is experienced by the spirit through the mind. Sorry? Yeah, correct.
Of the oversoul.
Absolutely. But
Because we are
then
in
all
Karma.
these are all academic, intellectual question answers, which doesn't really take us anywhere because we are still in that divine dream. Yeah.
So that is why reading this is very important to let us know that. Correct, Sachin.
When Baba says nothing has ever happened, bolo.
Soul and spirit are same thing.
No. They're
No,
different.
There is no difference between the
There's a
soul and the
difference.
spirit.
There's a difference between soul and... You read In God's Hand. Have you read that? Oh, we have done that in the Bombay Center. It's a beautiful book. In God's Hands. Bombay, sorry? Pune also we did. In the Pune group also,
Yes,
long
yes,
back.
long
Yeah.
back, yeah.
So where Baba is distinguishing between self, which is the soul, and the spirit. He talks about, it's a beautiful book. Maybe Baba willing, after we finish this, we'll come to beams, and after we do the beams, we'll come to In God's Hand, which is also a very profound book. But this is all we are understanding intellectually. Basically, what is important is that we need to experience that this is a dream, which we don't experience.
Although God in the man state has gained full consciousness and falsely experiences the multifarious impressions of the false infinity of nothingness as the reality of the gross world, this full consciousness and these innumerable impressions are all absorbed or gulped in, while God in the man state passes away in the sound sleep state, indirectly asserting his original divine state of divine sound sleep. When God in the man state completely wakes up every day from his sound sleep state, the full consciousness which lay dormant during sound sleep and the multitude of impressions which had vanished, that is, out of sight and out of experience, in the sound sleep are now all catapulted out to produce once again the false experiences of the infinite nothing, manifesting as real and infinite nothingness.
All right.
Of the sorry,
We have-
Baba.
Yeah.
Finite.
Only 3 minutes to go. I will not be explaining this.
Real and the infinite nothingness.
I won't be explaining this. Tomorrow we'll continue.
Yes. Experiences of the finite nothing manifesting as the real and infinite nothingness.
As I said, only 3 minutes more. I won't, because it's a very beautiful paragraph where Baba, in a sense, states that God in the man state. When we read God speaks, it will be God in the animal state, God in the bird state, God in the fish state, which means it is God only who's doing, who is playing the role of a fish or a man or this thing. What Baba is saying, God in the man state is himself the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Mahesh. The starting point of God is the beyond state of God, which is the Vara ul Vara state, or Parat par Brahma state, or Gaheb ul Gaheb state, where God is and consciousness is not. We are in that same state when we go into sound sleep state. God was awoken by the hukki, by the whim, by the urge, by the primal cause, who am I? And we get awakened every day in the morning because of the samskaras which are there dormant. So the samskaras wake us up. You have a question? No. Oh, okay. The samskaras wake us up. So now when we wake up, what do? We are Brahma. We create our own universe. The creation. Where was this creation? There was no creation. It is only when consciousness comes about, there is creation. Try to understand what I am trying to say. If there is no consciousness, there is no creation. That is why creation is not a reality. Because for every human being, he creates his own universe. It is not that you are in the universe or cosmos as much as the cosmos is within you. And every day we create our own cosmos, our own creation. Today I am very happy, I have earned Kaun Banega Crorepati and I am very rich. My universe is very happy. Somebody who is sick and ailing and whatever, he's got fuss out in some cryptocurrency. What happened? His universe is different because he is creating a separate universe. I am creating a different universe. Millions of people are creating different universes for their own purpose. That means there is no truth or reality in creation. That's what Baba is saying. That creation is a Brahm. There is no such thing as creation. There is no reality to creation. And what do I do in this awake state? I am preserving the creation, my own creation. And how do I dissolve it? When I go back into sound sleep state, I suck in within myself my own creation. That means I have become Mahesh, or dissolver, or destroyer of my. So man himself, God in the man state, for that matter God in every state, he is himself the creator, the preserver, and the. But we'll come to that later on, we'll go deeply into that tomorrow. Any questions? I think we have crossed 6 o'clock. Yes, 6:01. Thank you, Baba. If there's no questions. Sorry? All right. So thanks to beloved Baba. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you, Baba.